Hey everybody, it's Mark Masters. I don't know if I'm sideways or if anybody can hear me. Uh, we're going remote, and I started a little bit early just to see what's going on. And these are not the best conditions. I'm in Little Five Points in Atlanta, Georgia, directly across the street from Star Bar, about a half block from the old Voodoo Comedy Lounge. And all right, what do we got here? Oh, we got a guest. Perfect. Amazing. He can tell me what's going on. Hey, how's it going?
How you
Can you
doing?
hear me? Good. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. It looks like I'm sideways, so let me fix that. I am on my phone, on the road. This is not orientation or disabled while live. Terrific.
Okay.
I can't
You want
I can't
you want
change it.
you
Am I
want to dip real?
sideways?
You are
Can
sideways. You want
anybody?
to dip? We'll hop back on.
No, I've done this before. If I end it, we can't restart it.
Oh, sure, sure,
I
sure,
wonder.
sure. All right.
I wonder if I leave. Can I leave? Hold on a second.
Can you hop back
Uh,
on? Nope, we're good. You are no longer sideways.
oh, really? Okay,
Mm-hmm. You're
terrific.
reoriented appropriately.
I don't really know what's going on here. Anyways, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Good to meet you. Never met you. I don't even know how to say your name. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Kaiser Leib.
Awesome. Cool. And you live in?
I'm up in Helena, Montana.
Oh, cool. Where the volcanoes are, right?
So we are a little ways north of the Yellowstone super caldera, right? We've got some hot springs, but it's nothing like the real volcanic stuff that you got down there.
Okay. Cool. Um, how's it going? How's your week?
It's good. It's good. I'm kind of running around stressed like a chicken with my head cut off. I double booked myself. I was supposed to be running trivia tonight. I had this in my calendar last month, right? And so I had to find somebody to run trivia real quick, which is fine. The nice thing is that like the reason that I'm even a tolerable comedy producer is because I'm so eager and willing to find other people to help me do stuff, right? And so I have friends who can run trivia who are familiar. I showed her how to run all the tech real quick between the end of work and now, right? So that's going to work out really well. I've got to go to LA for work. I'm going to be gone for a month during like the busiest part of when we should be setting up for the festival in October.
Okay.
But I've got people here to whom I could delegate, right? And so it's really, it takes a village thing, right? Being able to delegate effectively really makes it easier to do comedy. Well, as I'm sure you're aware, right? Like the reason that I was
I'm
so
not the
excited to
best
talk to you.
delegator, but yeah. Uh,
Yeah, but you know,
so
but you
why
know how
don't
to make things happen.
I do know how to make things happen, as evidenced by being 1,500 miles from home right now.
Yeah, yeah,
But let's talk. Well, we can get into that.
yeah.
But let's talk about this festival. What's it called? When is it? Are you
Uh,
excited?
Yeah, so this is the Helena Comedy Festival. It's going to be October 9th through the 12th.
Okay.
It's really exciting. The reason that I got into this, so for the past couple of years, I've been on the board of the Last Best Comedy Festival down in Bozeman. That's put on by
Okay.
the club down there. They're really good friends of mine, and I've been on the board, mostly doing like submission reviews, but I've also coordinated a couple of shows for them. This year, they decided not to do it, and so I thought, well, if they're not going to do it, I still want to give my friends from SF and New York and Chicago a place that they can come and do some comedy with me. So I'm thinking I'm going to invite 12 of my friends who have done my little run of shows, and we're going to have fun, right?
Okay. Can I
And
pause
then,
you for a couple of
yeah, yeah,
questions? First off, how far is Helena from Bozeman?
it's about an hour and a half drive.
Oh, that's pretty close. Okay, nice.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
do you know what's the primary reason that they decided not to do the festival, and how many years did they do it before
So
giving
this
it up?
it this one ran for 2 years. Basically, it's a massive undertaking. Okay, and there have been some change ups in the staffing at the club that have made the logistics harder, right?
Okay,
And so it's like this is a rebuilding period. We're going to stop. We're going to take a breather. We're going to get our feet back under us rather
gotcha.
than you know adding extra straw to the camel, right?
Sure.
Um, And so
Cool.
I
It's a
think honestly,
beautiful
it's a
club,
sense
by
of
the
pride.
way. Anybody watching or listening, Last Fest Comedy Club, super fun room. It's the best.
Yeah, it is not a responsible use of my time, but I drive that hour and a half and back every Tuesday to do the open mic, right? I'm
Oh
going
my
down there
goodness.
tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And so it's because it is such a great room, and because the lighting is so good, the audience is so good, the people are so good. It makes for some of the best content that you. Kinane just posted a video
I saw
that he
that
got the
on.
last time he was there.
That's cool. Okay, so sorry I interrupted. So you're working on your festival because this other festival created a vacuum. You wanted to fill that.
Yeah,
Continue.
yeah. And so I did screw up. I put it on the same weekend as Big Sky, which is over in Billings, which is quite a bit more. It's quite a bit more prestigious, right? And so we're targeting a different sort of submission comic, right? The headliners that I have coming out here to kind of anchor the festival are probably strong enough that they could do Big Sky. But we're trying to create space for submission comics who maybe don't have the credits that would get them into Big Sky. And so I don't think we're necessarily going to be butting heads. But that is something I'll try to avoid for next year. I won't have it on exactly the same weekend, right?
That's
Um,
crazy. I
yeah.
mean, what are the odds? Did you know that? What, like,
No,
when
I
did you
didn't. I didn't
discover
know
that?
that. I didn't know that. I found out about it. One of the producers followed me on Instagram after I announced that I was doing it, and I was like, "What is? Oh, okay. It's because they saw the ad. This is a producer from Big Sky, and I saw that they had posted about Big Sky. So,
Right. Huh.
um,
Crazy.
yeah,
Um, well, that's Columbus Day weekend, and I know that because I'm running a comedy festival that weekend as well. So is Rogue Island in Rhode Island. So they might do it every Columbus Day.
sure.
Uh,
That's possible. And that makes sense. Uh, I kind of chose it arbitrarily. October makes a lot of sense. So we had a grant from the tourism business improvement district here, which is
okay.
basically like a trade association of the hotels. And so a friend of mine works there and said, "Oh, hey, you should put in for this grant for that festival you're doing." So I get this grant, and then they say, "Okay, cool. Here's a bunch of money to market the festival." So now it has to be a real thing, right? I have to
Yeah.
I have to deploy that money to get more people to show up. And as part of that, they had some input into the date, and basically October is the thing that makes the most sense here because people come here for tourism purposes during the summer. There's all the trails and the mountain biking. People come here for skiing during the winter, and so spring and fall there's less going on, right? You
Yeah.
starting to get into November, you've got like high school sports championships and things that'll occupy a lot of those hotel rooms. But since we're trying to get
Yeah.
people to come stay in the hotels, let's do it when we're the slowest, and that just
Sure.
happens to be October.
So tell me about how do you get people to travel to Montana? That's a long way. And like you
So
mentioned, you don't have the brand recognition yet.
yeah, so I have personal branding, which is actually pretty strong. I produced shows for a lot of years in San Francisco. I've had people come do a small run of shows that I produce up here, and
Okay.
so I have some credibility in that regard. It's certainly not anything like we're not just for laughs, right? But that has helped quite a bit. And then it's Facebook ads and Reddit, right? So I post on Reddit about how the festival is going, putting things together. I get quite a bit of traction that way. I have posted to a lot of the local area groups for other scenes, right? So, hey, Des Moines, Iowa, come to Helena, Montana, submit for this festival, right? So
Right.
we do tend to see, obviously, more concentrated in areas that I've been, right? So we see people from the Bay Area, we see people from New York, we see people from Spokane, right? But it's been really cool to see. We have people from Vermont and from Florida and places that I'm probably never going to go, much less having been yet, who are interested to come out and do the fest. We put
How
together.
what's the timeline like of submission comedians? Are submissions closed? Are they open?
No,
Uh,
submissions are still open, so we're gonna keep them open. I think I said we would probably close on August 8th. and try to notify everybody
Okay.
by the 13th. It may be that we push that back a little bit and say, okay, and we're gonna let everybody submit until mid-August and let them know later.
Okay.
Right now, there are some people who we've been reviewing on an ongoing basis. There's some people who are mathematically guaranteed to get in because they got all yes votes. But it's there's still certainly space on the lineup. If we get strong comics, I'm going to say yes to them. If we don't have
Yeah.
venue capacity, I'll create that venue capacity.
Sure.
We've got a lot of really great rooms that we don't have shows in yet, and we
Yep.
got even more great rooms that we could add. So
How big is Helena? Like, what's the population?
the metro area is about 100,000. The city proper is smaller. I think
Okay.
it's about 40,000.
Okay. That's pretty big. I didn't realize you started in San Francisco. Tell me a little bit about that. How long ago? Tell me about the shows that
Yeah,
you
so
did
that
out there.
was 2017. Um, I moved down there for a job. It turns out they pay software engineers quite a bit more if you live where there aren't mountains to look at. So I moved down there. Prior to that, I had always wanted to be a comic. I'd been watching Last Comic Standing in my dorm room. Jay London, those guys were really impressive to me, and I thought, man, I'd be so good at that if I tried it. Couldn't figure out how to try it. Right, there was a monthly open mic in Missoula that I didn't know existed. Um, but by the time I got down to SF, it was like, oh, this is very easy. It's everywhere. A friend of mine had taken a class with Curtis Matthews, San Francisco Comedy College. He said, "Hey, try this." So I went and I signed up for that. I think that probably saved some time off of the learning process, right?
So
Um,
this is interesting. We've asked a bunch of comics about this. So you took a comedy class. Sounds like
yep,
you're positive on it. What's
yep,
something today? So that's what, 8 years ago,
8 years ago.
roughly, you took the
Yep,
class.
yep.
What's something that you're glad you learned in that class that saved you time?
So I think the notion of editing, of getting to a punchline faster, and of needing something that is a subversion of an expectation was good. I definitely could have learned that on my own. I could have learned that reading a book. I could have learned that trial and error at open mics, and it would have taken me maybe a couple of months. The thing that the class did was that it made me write more quickly because I was obligated to come up with material every week for the class. It made me more more appealing more quickly. I was so exuberant when I started doing this. I just sent audio. I would send audio clips to my friends back home. And it's like, nobody wants to sit through 5 minutes of amateur stand-up comedy, right?
Right.
Um, but having that little bit of a leg up meant that they were willing to come see me when I finally did come back home because they hadn't been totally burnt out on how terrible it was. And then the big thing was that the community around that was super valuable. So when I started doing open mics, I invited my friends to come to the good open mics that were depopulated, and then they became good open mics that were just slammed, right? So the
Right.
Edinburgh Castle Pub in the Tenderloin in SF was the thing that was closest to my house. I really love the host, TK Moyer. He's still a great friend of mine. Um, and so he had just started. It was me, him, and the bartender. I told all the kids from the class to come out, and then we had 15 people the next week, and it just stayed good.
Did you say the
And so
Oyster House?
no, no. So
Oh,
Oyster May's Oyster House is a little bit north of that. This is
okay.
Edinburgh Castle on Geary.
Okay.
May's is also a good room. I think it's Hella Funny, Stormoid's outfit that runs that one.
Okay.
I did that. I actually did May's probably a year ago, the last time I was back.
I did it in the last couple of years. It's pretty fun. One of
Mhm.
the comics brought like 25 people, so it was awesome. Actually, it
Yeah,
felt like a real
yeah.
show. Uh, cool. So I love the San Francisco comedy scene. The comics out there are terrific. The shows are incredible. Where did you run shows, and did you have trouble drawing an audience?
So I almost like for a long time I almost exclusively did open mics, right? So I would guest host Edinburgh, and then I went and I talked to some other bars, and because people liked me, they were like, Kaiser's a really good host. I would post on the Facebook group Bay Area Comedy Network, and we would just have 30 or 40 people show up. My pre-signs would be full in about 2.5 minutes. And so that worked really, really well. And that kind of helped like perpetuate the idea that I'm a really good host, right? Because you've got a lot of people there in the audience, even if it is other comics. Um, Having some success with that allowed me to go talk to, there was this indie theater called Piano Fight. So Piano Fight's deal with me was that I wouldn't pay the rental fee if they had a slot open with a short enough timeline that they wouldn't be able to rent it to anybody else. They would give me that slot, and then I would put together a comedy showcase and market it.
And where was that located? Like what neighborhood?
That's it's in Civic Center, right, right
Okay.
by
Yeah.
the center bar. So
Yeah.
that worked really, really well. I would be all over downtown. I'd be taping handbills up to light poles. I'd be handing them out to people. I'd be running ads on online. Um, my most successful show was one we called Friday Night Fustercluck. It was this 10 p.m. Friday slot that they'd never managed to make work for anything else, and so ultimately they just gave it to me full time. And I would try to put up 20 comics in an hour with everybody doing a 3-minute set. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
it ends up being a glorified open mic, but the energy was so good because we're switching between people so quickly. Even if the thesis behind the show is that even if no audience showed up, we've got enough people there that will be audience for each other. It turns out audiences also showed up for that. So
Nice.
that was amazing. And the really cool thing is that it's like, if I run a showcase, I get to put up 6 of my friends, right?
Right.
Running a show like that, I get to put up 20 people, all of whom are grateful for the high quality stage time. People would get really mad because I'd be booking a show and then I'd say, "Oh, you can have 3 minutes," and they're like, "What the hell? I'm not coming out for that. I'm not going to
Right.
walk across the street for that." It's like, you don't understand. This is actually a really, really great show. But so the people who came and did it, Fergal Daly, who runs the Tokyo Comedy Club, right? He came and did the show. And he's like, "Oh yeah, if you're ever in Tokyo, look me up." I'm not going to be in
Okay.
Tokyo, but it helps build those relationships, right?
Right.
A lot of people who have gone on to do really great things were small enough at that time that they hung out with me and we became friends. So that was really beneficial. And then occasionally I would run showcases in other rooms. Kells, which was Vahe Ho from Best of SF, made that one work really, really well. I could never get people to show up at Kells. I produced once or twice in some other bars, but it was mostly Piano Fight up until
Okay.
COVID, and they had to shut down.
Right. Would you use a God mic to get everybody through? It seems
No,
logistically like,
no, I would run out there and back. And so
huh,
half of the frantic energy is me running out there saying, "Everybody keep clapping for Steve. Here's Jerry." Um,
huh.
and so that
And was that an exaggeration that you'd have 20 comics? Would you have like 17? Because it doesn't seem like the math works out.
it doesn't. So the math doesn't work out for the hour, right?
Okay.
So it would be nominally 17 comics. We would go over, and I would always let some people cut in, right? So it ended up
Okay.
being an hour and 15, hour and 20 show, even though it was
Got
nominally
it.
an hour show.
Got it. Okay.
If you do 17, and if everybody respects the light, you can get through in almost exactly an hour if the host is fast enough. Most of the time, you get a
Seven.
host who
Oh yeah,
wants,
yeah. Of course. Yeah, you
yeah,
got 9 minutes to spare, kind of.
but you
Yeah.
get a host who wants to do time in between comics because the energy's so good. You get comics who want to run the light because the energy's so good. And so,
Right.
if we have a hard out, you have to book fewer people.
Right. Um, Pro tip for the audience: Atlanta, not a great place to run an outdoor podcast because of mosquitoes. Did not did not see this coming.
No.
Okay, so that's very exciting. So then you decide to go back to Montana, and now you got all this big city energy and skill and professionalism. And is there any kind of comedy scene in Helena when you get there?
So there's still nothing in Helena. It has been a real pain to try to get people to come out. I've tried 2 or 3 times to run open mics, and I can't get people to show up consistently. I can run
Do you mean
showcase.
comedians or audience?
I mean comedians.
Okay.
So if anybody has any ambition to do mics, they're mostly already moved. There's one mixed mic that has become very friendly to comedy, so we do that on Thursdays. and there are, probably 2 or 3 other people in town who have any inclination to try it. Some of them no longer do mics just because the energy has worn off, and so they'll show up for showcases once in a while. There's one other fella who will show up pretty consistently at that mixed mic. 2 people is not enough to get a mic off the ground, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. But what about
most
shows?
shows are easier. Shows I'm able to take and say, okay, do you want to drive over from Missoula? Do you want to drive up from Bozeman? You end up having to pay more than what you pay in bigger cities. So, at a show in San Francisco, if you get a $10 and a couple of drink tickets, you feel pretty good about it.
Right.
Here,
yeah, of course.
Here it's like, come on, man, I drove 3 hours, right?
Right.
And so it ends up, you end up looking more like $40-50, so that people are willing to come do the show.
Right.
I also give everybody some pretty good video from the show,
Okay.
depending on what we're able to do with the light. But I've got a couple of cameras and I've been working on that, and so that's made it easier to get people to come do showcases. The club is also, like I say, they're friends of mine, and so we'll tack on nights for people who are coming to do the club. They'll come and they'll do
nice.
my shows for the Saturday, the Sunday, sometimes the Thursday, and it just makes it more worthwhile to get out here. On the occasions when I fly somebody out here just to do my run of shows, I'm losing money, right? I'm almost always losing money on that.
Okay.
Because I can put together a show that makes a couple grand, right? I can get 100 people to show up if we've got enough time to market, and if it's winter, so there's less going on outside. But you're still looking at a couple $100 to the flight. You're still looking at a couple $100 a night for the hotel.
Right.
And so if they're not already coming out to do the club, it ends up being a loss leader for me.
Okay, I got a question about that. Hold on one second, though. I want to show everybody I don't know if you can see this, but very pretty pink sunset over Savage Pizza in Little 5 Points in Atlanta, Georgia. So a question about that. Anybody you want to brag about that you've had out as a comedian?
The biggest act who came out here was Josh Johnson. He didn't.
Oh my gosh, huge!
Yeah.
Now the host of the Daily Show, incredible. Was that a tack on to Last Best?
So he had headlined their festival the previous year. So he wanted to come out to Montana again. His agent reached out to the club. Club said, we like not to have people twice in a year, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to do Kaiser's show, we'll introduce you to Kaiser.
Okay.
So I put him up here in Helena, and it just happened that weekend we had real bad polar vortex. Right? So all this air that's supposed to be at the North Pole is down here. It's minus 50 degrees. And Josh is a tiny person. He is not a lot of body fat on this guy. I felt so bad. But so we did. We were selling really, really strong as soon as the tickets went up for that. We sold more tickets that first week than I sell for anything else. And then we get that cold snap and the ticket sales just hit a wall. So what should have been a 300, 400 seat show ended up being 150. Everybody who had bought tickets still came out, but people
still pretty solid. Did he do his an hour on one topic or 90 minutes on one topic? And what was the topic?
I couldn't tell you. I was
okay.
I was just so excited to have Josh there. I know it wasn't an hour on one topic.
Okay.
But it was right after his, I think it was some of the material from the Peacock special was on that.
Okay.
But then so the reason he came out was to get a rep before he went and did the Newberry up in Great Falls, which is a pretty big theater up there. And so with the cold snap, the dude travels by bus, right? Because he's so down to earth and practical. He's like, he had me take him to Target to get some groceries instead of like eating at a restaurant, right? He's got a ticket on a bus to go up to Great Falls. So I wake up at like 5 a.m. to take him to the bus station, and the bus just doesn't show up. So we call the bus, and they're like, oh yeah, he decided not to go today because it's too cold. It's like, okay,
oh my gosh.
Would have been great to tell us that. So I got to drive him up to Great Falls, and I got to spend like an hour and a half in the car with this guy, which is really cool because he's just a fundamentally decent human being. He's a really cool person. So that's the biggest deal out of anybody. Stanhope, I had Stanhope out here one time just randomly.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, he did my little brewery down in Townsend just on a Monday. So that was a ton of fun. You know, we were sitting across the street drinking liquor because he wants to drink liquor. It turns out the guy doesn't like beer; he just wants to drink liquor before we go over and do a show for all the brewery people. That was
Fun.
a lot of fun. But yeah,
Cool.
I've had so many really cool comics. We could just
That's
sit here and list
incredible.
all of them. But
Yeah. Anybody from the Denver scene come up there?
yeah, I've had Sammy Anzer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
I want to say I've had Sammy twice. Um, but and he and I have been in touch a couple of times. Um,
Sammy's the
Adam
best.
Mammal. Yeah, Sammy's a really cool, and he's just a genuinely good person. You know,
Hmm.
anytime I go down to Denver, I'm asking Sammy, hey, can you hook me up with anything down there? So far, I'm not big enough that anything really works out. You know,
Right.
but he's just a cool person. He's just very nice. You know, anytime I mention Denver to another comic, Sammy's the name that comes up.
Cool. All right, we're going to take an audience question and we're going to start wrapping this up. This is from
Yeah.
North Carolina. How do I show this? Can you see? I think everybody can see this
Yeah.
now. Did you learn anything being around somebody who's been in comedy for as long as Doug Stanhope has?
So the big thing with Doug, the when I was hanging out with my friend Doug, he gave me this piece of advice. So it's mostly that there's not a lot of advice that you can actually give unless you have specific actionable advice to one thing that's going on right then. If you're giving people advice, you're not telling them how to get better at comedy. You're telling them how to be you 20 years ago, right? And so anything that I'm telling you about how to get better at comedy applies very much to what was the right thing to do in San Francisco as an open micer in 2017.
Okay, got it.
So it's mostly there's just nothing.
Okay, so why don't you promote your festival a little bit more and anything else you want to promote for your own personal comedy?
Obviously, I'm very hilarious and famous. Please follow me on Instagram at Kaiser.Leib. The Helena Comedy Festival will be taking place October 9th through the 12th. Submissions are still open for that. Please visit HelenaComedyFestival.com. Click that submit link. Send me $20. Give me your YouTube URL. We're going to have a great time.
That's amazing. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for hanging out. Stick around for a second. We're going to shut this down. If I can figure out how to do that on my phone. Bye from Georgia, everybody.